Las Vegas, Nevada, where millions are played, legends are made, and all your dreams can come true. But for 830 players, those dreams have already been destroyed here at the World Series of Poker. And now we're down to just 9, all of them looking to take home the richest prize in competition, $2.5 million.
I'm just out for the money.
$2.5 million is nice.
When I say it, my body shakes.
It's a pile of cash.
People say, what are you going to do with $2.5 million?
Give me the 2.5, I'll shave my legs, dress up as a drag queen, and that's it.
Don't forget, there's the gold bracelet up for grabs too. All bets are off, so now let's put the cards in the air. The final day of the 2003 World Series of Poker is coming up next. Over 4 days and nearly 50 hours of poker have been played here at Benvenisti's Horseshoe Casino, and a big payday is finally here. The crowd ready to witness a bit of history as the 9 surviving players have made their way to the final table. But only one will walk away with a bracelet and $2.5 million in cash. Hello, everybody, from Benvenisti's Horseshoe Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm Lon McCarron, along with sports columnist and tournament poker player Norman Chad. You know, the list of multiple winners here at this event is extremely short. 4 names, in fact. Johnny Chan, Johnny Moss, Stu Unger, and Doyle Brunson. But today at our final table, we have one man who has the opportunity to add his name to that elite list, Dan Harrington. He won this tournament back in 1995, Norm.
That's right, but that year he came to the final table in 2nd place. Today he has his work cut out for him because he trails Chris Moneymaker by almost 1.8 million. Moneymaker, the amateur, comes in as the chip leader, but perhaps even more astounding than that, he had never played in a live tournament before coming here for the World Series.
He has been the big surprise here, both to the players and the crowd. Someone who has not surprised anybody, that man Amir Vahedi.
A tournament veteran with a lot of titles under his belt in tournament play. We also can't forget Sammy Farha. He usually prefers playing Omaha to Hold'em. He prefers cash games to tournaments, but he is a savvy, dangerous force here.
And we've seen Sam has never met 2 cards he doesn't love to play.
Shuffle up and deal.
That's Tomer Benvenisti getting us underway, who, like Sam, making his first championship appearance, juggles his job as an expedition tour guide with his love of poker. And in seat number 4 with a chip count of 360,000 is Yong Pak in 8th place as he comes to the table. Amir Vahedi taking a first look at his cards, 4 and queen, does not like what he sees. Over to Sammy Farha, 1 chip short of $1 million.
As we know, Sammy usually likes anything he sees. I think he's going to like ace jack suited.
And we're going to get our first bet at the championship table.
Oh, Sam, you little bastard.
David Gray tried to break the ice with a little humor. Jason Lester folds. The only former champion at the table. Dan Harrington folds as well. Over to David Gray, his 19th World Series, but first final table appearance. He's got 9 and queen.
You're a nice guy.
David Gray calls.
Thank you.
When day 4 began, there were 45 players left. David Gray was in 43rd place with just 20,000 in chips, and yet made it here.
Here comes the flop, 2, 8, and 6.
I'm first act. All right, I check it too, big boy.
Now the number next to the player's name is the percentage that they will have the best hand should they both remain in the hand. Right now the advantage, of course, is Sammy Farha.
And they both check.
Here comes the turn cards, an ace, and the check mark now next to Farha's name means he has the winning hand should he stay into the end.
Big hand over there.
They both check, and indeed, there's not a card in the deck that David Gray can get here to win the hand.
All right, check it to the 1 card draw.
That did give David Gray a pair of queens, but the pair of aces are best, and Farha bets 60,000.
Handful of money.
Oh, what?
Money.
Money?
Handful.
All right, fill you up a little more.
Gray feels compelled to call with his pair.
Sammy shows the aces, and Gray knows he's been beat.
Gotta get used to it now.
Well, that win on hand number 1 here at the final table puts Sammy Farha into the Millionaires Club, and that is just one way to play No Limit Texas Hold'em. Here's how you play No Limit Texas Hold'em. Everyone is dealt 2 cards face down. Players then bet, and for the first time must decide whether they're in or they're out. Next comes the flop. 3 community cards placed face up in the middle of the table that everyone can use. Players bet again. The dealer then reveals the turn, another community card, also called 4th Street. After another round of betting, the final community card is dealt. This is called the River, or 5th Street. One last time, players bet, then reveal their cards. the best 5-card hand wins. But this is no limit hold'em.
All in.
And at any time, a player can go all in and bet everything he has. So at the World Series, every hand can be the hand that makes you or breaks you. Here's how our finalists stack up with their chips. Chris Moneymaker on top, 2.3 million. Vahedi and Farha each over $1 million right now. Action right now is to David Singer. He was 5th on that list with $750,000, a former environmental lawyer.
The Singer with the ace-10. He's a cash game specialist. Just turned to tournaments this year and is already showing great tournament skill and betting $50,000. Amir Vahedi is in the big blind. In Hold'em, 2 players are in the blinds in every hand. These are 2 players who already have chips in the pot. This is to ensure more action. The big blind right now is 20,000. The small blind is 10,000, and those numbers will increase as the day wears on. And Vahedi calls with his ace-6, which is right now behind the ace-10.
Ready for the flop. It comes out 2-6 queen,
which gives Amir Vahedi a pair of 6s and the lead in the hand.
David Singer is going to make a bet, and it looks like 60,000.
And Vahedi shoots a glance over at him like, heck, I was going to bet. What are you doing? And Vahedi just calls.
So we're ready for the turn card now. It's an ace of hearts. Each player with an ace, but Vahedi with the upper hand. He's got aces and 6s. David Singer there checks, and the action over now to Vahedi.
And Vahedi, without hesitation, is going to bet.
And he's going to make it 90,000.
So 90,000 to David Singer, who does not have nearly the tournament experience of Amir Vahedi, one of the favorites here at the final table.
And look at this. David Singer is going to move all in.
And Amir Vahedi immediately calls him. Singer probably thought he was ahead. He's probably trying to trap Amir with his aces. Never could have put Vahedi on the aces and 6s, and now he's going to need a 10 or a queen or he's gone.
And here is the river card. It's a 7, and Amir Vahedi wins it, and David Singer eliminated. Pot size of almost $1 million goes to Amir Vahedi. And David Singer, the first player eliminated, for 9th place, earns $120,000. And Amir Vahedi takes his first big pot of the day.
Listen, what goes on between me and him and Moneymaker is none of anybody's business. You're a chip leader, you're a decent class of people here. So you guys can get over. He's got a phone. He's got a phone. So you guys sit down and watch.
Welcome back to Las Vegas. 8 players now remaining at the final table. 3 of them in the Millionaires Club right now. Moneymaker, Vahedi, and Farha. We get down to table action. Jason Lester on the left there will fold over to Dan Harrington. He's not going to play either. And then the action now to David Gray. Hole cards of ace-8 suited. Looks like he indeed will make a bet, and he does. 65,000.
He's been short stacked. Only about 90,000 left. Not a lot of maneuvering room for David Gray.
And over to our chip leader, Chris Moneymaker, next to act, considering. Tough spot to have the chip leader next to the guy who's short stacked.
Often the large stack likes to push around the short stack. And this time Chris is going to call with 5-4 offsuit. Very avant-garde hand. And speaking of avant-garde, here's Amir Vahedi.
And Vahedi will play as well with a suited 9-5 of diamonds.
All right, baby. Do something nice.
David Gray looking a bit nervous after those guys call.
He looks like he's expecting something not nice to happen. Many nice things haven't happened for him yet today.
3 players in the flop. Here it comes. It is Jack, 3, 5, 2 spades. Vahedi checks with a pair of 5s over to David Gray.
Moneymaker and Vahedi with a pair of 5s, but David Gray has picked up the nut flush draw.
In.
And he says all in.
Bingo. 89.
Well, David Gray putting his tournament life at stake right now.
When you go all in, you can't pick your spots when you have short stacks, so this is a good spot for him to go in, but you really don't want people calling you because he just has a draw. He'd like to take it down right now. Well, he's not going to get his wish.
He is not going to indeed. Chris Moneymaker calls with his pair of 5s. And the sweat starts to roll.
89. 99, you wouldn't even think about it.
Just below his threshold.
Just like a guy in death row. So I'm just like a guy in death row.
You've had to stay a couple times?
I've had a couple stays of execution, so I'm good with the governor.
That's right.
Well, he's hoping that governor gets reelected.
Yeah, but Amir Vahedi doesn't know from the governor. He seems to be stacking up his chips and like he's a potential another executioner.
Couldn't have raised $1 million and knocked him out.
And David Gray all-in will get 2 callers, and he can't be happy about that.
I'm going. Maybe home.
Well, he knows his possible fate. We're ready for the turn card. It's a 4 of hearts, and now 2 pair for Chris Moneymaker.
And only a spade will save David Gray.
River card, though, is an ace of clubs, and while the 2 aces for Gray take down Vahedi, it does not beat Moneymaker. And David Gray sees the 2 pair. He is done for this tournament. He'll walk away with $160,000 in 8th place and a very, very fine tournament for him.
And the body count continues to grow for Chris Moneymaker. He's become the Terminator, knocking out another player.
Well, as a new face in the poker world, everyone really having a tough time reading this man, the Tennessee gambler, Chris Moneymaker.
I sat down this tournament, I didn't know a soul. Pretty much every pro that I played against in this tournament, they tried to come in and say, you know, listen, I'm here, I'm the pro, I'm gonna run this table. And they like to read people's emotions and get a read on somebody.
I know you want to take those sunglasses off.
When someone new comes in, it's hard to do that. I'm sorry.
How's it going, Chris?
It's running pretty good. I have a lot of chips. I try to play real conservative. If I'm short stacked, I play aggressive. It all depends on the player and the amount of chips. If you're stuck in one playing style, you'll get pegged on it, and it's going to make it very difficult for you.
Norm, so far, Chris Moneymaker using his newness to a great advantage. We've seen other guys do that as well.
Yeah, the amateur, it's hard to read, and also the amateur doesn't have as much pressure as the professional, which is an advantage.
It's getting a little empty over here, isn't it?
Chris Moneymaker referring to the player on his right and his left who have been eliminated. Tomer, Benvenisti, not seeing a lot of good cards so far. Will not play this hand either. Over to Sam Farha as he checks his whole cards. 1 deuce, 2 deuces.
He always sees good cards.
He does.
If those are from an Uno deck, he would play them.
And he will indeed play. He bet 60,000. Yong Pak will not join the party. Over to Jason Lester. 2 sevens. Jason likes to think about it.
He is more deliberate, and both him and Dan Harrington are more conservative players, don't play as many hands. Jason will play the pair of 7s.
And Dan Harrington, I have a feeling, will play this. Not seen a lot of action from Dan. That's just the type of player he is.
Yeah, he's very conservative and seldom out of line. Same with Jason Lester.
Does that make him easier to read overall?
It would seem to be. When he gets in, people generally tend to drop out, but then he'll turn that on them later in a tournament, and he'll shift gears, and he'll become more aggressive. He's a smart player.
So now the action back after Harrington has a 200,000 raise over to Farha. If he wants to call and stay in the hand, he does not.
He doesn't. And Sammy actually knows that the 2 players who are in the hand right now, again, tend to play less hands, so he's probably beat at this point, and he correctly folds.
Over to Jason Lester now. Are his 2 sevens worthy of a call? And they are. So over 600,000 in the pot now, and ready to see a flop. Just Lester and Harrington. And here it comes. 2, 9, and Jack.
No help to either player.
The action now to Jason Lester for a bet, or not.
Jason Lester and Dan Harrington know each other very, very well, particularly from their backgammon play. They both are champion backgammon players. Sammy now, look, he knows he would have made a set of deuces if he stayed in. He's brooding about it. I mean, this guy doesn't muck his cards when he goes to the bathroom.
Exactly.
So I was thinking, geez.
What has he lost is what he's wondering.
And he says he'll move in, which means he's moving Dan Harrington all in. Harrington with fewer chips. And I'm sort of surprised Lester's doing this because Harrington doesn't play that many pots. Quickly, he will move all in. And he's way ahead in the pot, Dan Harrington.
And even before I think Harrington's cards are turned over, Lester knew what he was in for. Now the turn card comes. Queen of clubs.
No help to Jason Lester. He's going to need a 7, and a 7 would knock Dan Harrington out of here.
The river card, ace of diamonds, does not do it. A huge hit to Jason Lester, but Dan Harrington, the former champ, doubles up. He's over $1 million now.
Nice race, Dan. I like everything here.
Huh?
I flopped the set. Everything comes here.
Wow. Nice.
2 deuces.
Oh, 2 deuces. Oh, yeah.
An opportunity lost for Farha, but Dan Harrington takes full advantage as he joins the Million Chip Club in the process.
My name is Tomer Benvenisti. I was born in Israel, and I live now in Las Vegas. I take people on tours to exotic places such as Antarctica and the Arctic, on ships, expeditions. I love that the most. And in between that, I play poker.
I don't think it has no limit in here. There's nothing in here.
Sometimes I lose, sometimes I win. I'm not gonna say how much I would take that for the IRS purpose. It's a close match. It's a close match. Tomer, that's me.
Tomer has a 3-5.
A lot of great poker players, they're also great gamblers, and I don't mean that necessarily as a compliment. They lose a lot of money, but that's how they want to live their life. For me, I don't want to live that way. I want to have two lives, the poker life, the travel life, my wife. That's what means something to me.
And there is Tomer's wife, Joanne. They reside here in Las Vegas, so it's an easy jaunt over for the cheering section. Tomer started the day at 922,000. He's not had a lot of cards to play, down to 645 right now, and he does not see anything he likes in this hand, so he'll pass. Yong Pak, likewise, not going to play a lot of cards normally, but does not like what he sees. He folds as well. Over to Jason Lester, and he likes what he sees. King Ace. And that will earn a 60,000 bet. Chris Moneymaker folds. Action over to Amir Vahedi. Having a good final table so far.
And the King Jack suited is going to suit him well.
And he'll call the bet. You see Vahedi and Farha with unlit smoking devices just as a prop. No smoking allowed here at the World Series.
And Vahedi right now behind in the hand. They're sharing the kings, the ace ahead of the jack, and they both have flopped 2 pair, but Lester with top 2 pair. And Vahedi has checked.
This could be dangerous for somebody.
Oh yeah, aces and kings for Lester, kings and jacks for Vahedi. A commanding position for Jason Lester.
Not only because of what he has, but also because of what Amir thinks he may have.
Correct, and I mean, actually, Amir, only a jack is the only card that helps him now, but he can't possibly know that. He's got 2 very good pair.
Ready for the turn card. It is a 6 of spades.
And Vahedi checks. Surprisingly, this is a kinder, gentler Amir. He normally would be much more aggressive with kings and jacks. Maybe he's afraid of the ace on board, or he just might be slow playing his kings and jacks in his mind.
Very deliberate is Jason.
Yeah, I think he would take like 5 minutes to make a 3-minute egg.
140,000 is the bet from Jason Lester. And now the heat on Amir Vahedi.
How much more do you got left?
About 3.
So he checks on Jason Lester's chip count, nearly 300,000.
Amir thinking about putting Jason in harm's way, perhaps.
Yeah, Amir actually might have been slow playing his kings and jacks, thinking he's best.
I'll put you all in.
And he is going to put Jason Lester all in. So it's up to Jason Lester now. His tournament life would be on the line if he calls. And of course, with aces and kings, he's in pretty good shape. He might not know how good a shape he's in.
Tables turn now on this player. He, a moment ago, put Dan Harrington all in, and now Vahedi has put him all in. Pot size of 880,000. He's going to call it.
Call.
Vahedi says 2 pair.
But
Jason turns over and says, here's the real 2 pair, aces and kings.
And you see Vahedi knows it, ready for the final card. Only a jack is going to help Vahedi. It's a 4 of clubs. And Jason Lester can breathe again. Tough hit for Amir Vahedi. And a big boost for Jason Lester.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've heard from my cheering section.
There is his cheering section. Tanya Clark, Jason Lester's roommate, and they do underline roommate, both very much single. Big win for Jason Lester, the newest member of our Millionaire Club.
It's fun to be all in.
It is.
Right.
Welcome back to the World Series. Amir Vahedi has dropped below 1 million. He's still mulling over that last loss in his head. As we've seen, he is an animated player who likes to talk and at times doesn't mind showing his emotions at the table.
When the hand is going on, no, you don't see the motion. But when I win the hand, of course you get emotional. That's how you got balls, baby. Come on, baby. Do get it. Come on, baby. It's a big time tournament. You win a hand, you lose a hand. How could you be emotionless? I am just going to win this tournament. More than that is a sense of competition. Every time you knock out a great player, it's just getting a sense of satisfaction. You know, that's the beauty of this game. In order to live, you have to be willing to die.
Vahedi living and living well, though not as well as he was a few moments ago. Of course, anytime you get to the final table here, you're having a successful World Series. It'd be interesting to see how he reacts to the adversity he suffered recently. As we begin play on this hand, Sam Farha, a couple of nines.
And he bet 60,000.
Dan Harrington, king and ace. Got to think he'll play this. He does call the bet. Chris Moneymaker, our chip leader, not seen a lot of action so far at the final table, but he will dip his hand in here.
Yeah, not a great hand, 10-9. He's actually stayed out of the way most of the time. As the chip leader, you don't want to risk a whole lot. You want to be ahead in the hands instead of behind.
Amir Vahedi with an offsuit 10-8 is going to call the bet. Interesting.
No, he wasn't a small blind. 10-8 offsuit is not much of anything. He's just fishing.
The flop is going to come 9, 4, and 6.
And it is a powerful flop for Sammy Farha, who's got a set of nines and now is in command of this field with 3 nines.
4 players, more than half the field in this hand.
And Sammy comes out betting strong on this one, 80,000. Flop no help to Dan Harrington, so again, he will get out of harm's way and let the others kind of take each other down and hopefully move up the ladder as they take each other down.
Chris Moneymaker reaching for the stack. Looks like he is going to call the bet, and he does.
Yeah, he's got a pair of nines. It's the top pair on board. Of course, he's behind Sammy Farha, and he kind of likes the amount of chips that are in there right now, so maybe that's why he's calling this moderate bet. Oh.
He's going to stick around.
He's got an inside straight draw. He's fishing without a pole. He's got nothing, and he's staying in this pot.
All right, here comes a turn card. It's a 6.
Well, the fat lady has just sung.
Wow.
Sammy Farha cannot be beaten this hand, as the check indicates. He has a 9s full house over 6s. But Vahedi is acting quite quickly. He's going to take a stab here. He's going to bet $300,000. What he doesn't know is he has no shot of buying this pot line. Sammy Farha is not leaving this hand. If a nuclear bomb were to drop, Sammy would still hold on to his cards. Another thing, you saw how quickly Amir acted. When you bluff, sometimes you act strong, like you have something. So he moved his chips in real quickly, and that often is a tell that you're bluffing. And he has nothing.
I don't think there's any question Sam Farha is going to play. It's just how much now. And he does just call it.
He decides to call rather than raise, probably trying to induce both the others to come in.
It's a Chris Moneymaker.
You gentlemen have fun.
Good judgment there on Moneymaker, going to stay out of harm's way himself. And Amir's now drawing dead. I mean, he's worse than drawing dead. He's drawing 6 feet under. There's nothing.
3 of clubs is the river card.
And this time Vahedi checks.
And that's his best move of the hand, Norm.
Yeah, a better move would have been to have taken a phone call about a minute ago and drop his cards off in the trash can on the way out.
So now Sam Farha deciding how much to push. We know he's got to push him. And it's a 300,000 push.
Yep. A 30-cent push should have taken him over the ledge. Let's see what Amir Vahedi wants to do with that $300,000 bet he's got to call. Well, he's going to his chips? Well, what is this? I mean, the poker police should come and arrest Amir Vahedi right now. It's like a poker DUI. At this point, It's just a posturing maneuver by Vahedi. He's not possibly going to call this. Look at, oh my goodness, this is from the Lee Strasberg acting school, and I think he's a dropout.
Well, he's got 450,000 committed to this hand. He lost 550 in the previous hand, so he's trying to salvage anything he can.
It's time to cut your losses, though.
And that's exactly what he does. The rich get richer. Sam Farha collects another $1 million at the expense of Amir Vahedi. Sam Farha, 2.1 million plus.
You want to throw them? No, I don't think so.
At the other end of the spectrum, it's taken only 2 hands for Amir Vahedi to lose 1 million chips. Welcome back to Binion's Horseshoe Casino. Cards have already been dealt. Yong Pak has decided to go all in with his ace-10 and 160,000. He started the day a bit richer, so he's got to be bold or be gone.
Yeah, he's had to go all in 7 times today. He's been short stacked all day.
Jason Lester has ace-king, and he decides to call it. And Dan Harrington is not going to play. Nobody else does either, and so we've got Pak and Lester.
And the ace-king for Lester ahead of the ace-10, the higher kicker with the ace.
2 more aces, though.
But still the king kicker ahead, and he's going to need to get a 10 to get a full house, Mr. Pak.
It's a jack.
Now he's picked up a heart draw, plus he could get a jack or 3, and they would have identical full houses and split the pot.
The river card is an 8 of clubs, and it is not good enough to keep Yong Pak in the tournament. He is eliminated. Jason Lester picks up another fine pot, and Yong Pak receives congratulations around the table. Well deserved just to make the final table. Finished 7th place and $200,000. Another boost for Jason Lester, though, as he continues to add to his pile. He's one cool customer, and like everybody else at this table, plays with his own style.
Yeah, let's take a little break. Jason Lester, Jasonlester. My poker style is similar to my personality. I'm a pretty quiet player.
Can you tell me what he has?
Broadcasting your hand over the TV screen.
I like to sort of analyze things and keep them to myself and be in control of my emotions. Poker has some intangibles that other games don't. It has a lot of psychology and an incredible amount of luck. A couple of times I would have been out, especially the hand against Phil Hellmuth.
I call it. Just queens, Jason.
Just queens beats just jacks. I was like 25-1 underdog to even stay alive at that exact moment in time.
Lester still looking for a jack, or he's going home.
Oh, he got it!
Unbelievable. Wow. It's been a tough week. But it's exciting to get to the finals, and whether I come 9th, 5th, or 1st, I don't want to look back and say we didn't play well. I want to just, be myself and be calm and play some good poker.
Norm, there's no doubt that all of these finalists have played great throughout the tournament, but nobody gets here without a little bit of luck.
No, everybody in a tournament final table 1, 2, 3 times during the course of the week or the day. You're going to have to go all in and get very lucky on the river to stay alive.
Or you just try to increase your odds and play every hand like Sam Farha does.
That is the Sammy Farha blueprint, and he's the aggressor already here with his ace-5.
Moving over to Jason Lester. He's been catching kings today as well. This time it's paired with a queen. And it looks like he will join Sammy Farha. They have been coupled together throughout the day. King Queen. Call the 70,000.
And Dan Harrington. Lester and Harrington were in the blind, so they're already partly into the pot. And they both are going to play pretty decent starting hands against Sammy Farha.
Everyone else around the table folds. We'll have a flop with 3 players. And it comes out 10-10 king, and Lester gets matching kings.
And he takes the lead. Dan Harrington has a straight draw. He would need a queen for a straight, and he checks over to Sammy Farha, who at this moment has the worst hand of the 3 with the 3 cards on the community board.
And what does that tell you about Sammy? That he'll make a big bet.
Yes, he's going to fire another bullet. He fired one before the flop, and now he's going to fire another one after the flop.
And that's why I enjoy watching Sam Farha so much, is that he is aggressive. He follows up on his aggressiveness with more aggressiveness.
And a much different playing style than these two gentlemen, Lester and Harrington. Much more closer to the vest. And as we've mentioned before, Jason Lester very deliberate, trying to figure out whether he wants to call Sammy right here.
The bet was $120,000 from Sam Farha. Jason Lester, you see the percentage as the holder of the best hand so far. And he does call. And rightly so for his sake.
Now, Dan Harrington, with both these guys in front of him, it's going to be difficult, and he will get rid of it. He, again, playing conservatively, let other people kind of chop at each other at their chip stacks, and Dan will be safe. He only had a draw right there.
The turn card is a 9 of clubs and a straight draw now for Lester.
Yes, he has the top. He has 2 pair. He now has an inside straight draw. He's going to check again, and the action will go to Sammy. He bet before the flop, and he bet after the flop.
We have to remember here that Farha really has nothing, only an ace high, where Lester has 2 pair and an inside straight draw.
Sammy has been aggressive up to now, and he'll be aggressive again.
250.
And this is tremendous. He's fired 3 bullets now, and usually the aggressor is sometimes rewarded in Hold'em. He fired 1, he fired 2, now he's firing a 3rd time, and he does want Jason Lester to go away.
The pot over 700,000, as you saw, would be a great boost. Relatively speaking, a bigger boost to Jason Lester than to Sam Farha, who has a huge chip advantage over Jason right now.
Jason trying to figure out what Sammy can have. The 9 of clubs is kind of scary. It might have given Sammy a straight.
And Jason Lester is going to muck his cards and gives the pot to Sam Farha, who now tops the 2 million chip mark.
Sammy has bought the pot with nothing. That's the smile of a cat burglar.
Boys, you better fasten your seatbelt. Still steaming. For the next half an hour, I'm steaming.
When I stop seeing the smoke from here, it's like,
see, I can't put a cigarette right now in my mouth. I'm steaming. I'm scared it might light. You can't smoke here. I might light it by mistake.
Back to Vegas in the World Series of Poker. Chris Moneymaker still our chip leader. Sam Farha making a move, though. And Sam Farha is still steaming, as he mentioned earlier on. And why not? He's got another ace, this time paired with a queen. But Sammy is picking up the aces.
Yeah, and an ace-queen he's more hot than steaming as he continues to pick up some pretty good cards.
So the action is to Sam Farha, whether or not he wants to make it big or make it nominal. He's going to make it 100,000 with his ace-queen. Jason Lester is not going to join the hand. Now over to Dan Harrington, 1995 champion. He folds as well. And now to our chip leader, Chris Moneymaker.
We haven't seen Moneymaker play a lot of hands. He's been conservative today as the chip leader, and it's a smart strategy. He doesn't put his chips at risk unless he thinks he's ahead. And with the 6-8 suited, this one he's going to play.
Interesting call. We have a flop between Farha and Moneymaker. Comes king, ace, and 7, and another ace for Sam Farha.
And the pair of aces makes Sam a 9-1 favorite, but he checks, and they both check.
On the turn, it's a 5 of diamonds.
And Chris Moneymaker picks up an open-ended straight draw here and comes out firing for $100,000. Sammy, of course, still ahead with a pair of aces.
And Sam raises it, 300,000.
Well, we haven't seen a lot of scuffling by Moneymaker right now, and now he's put in a couple of $100,000 into this pot already, and has got to consider whether he wants to put $300,000 more. He's been pretty protective of his chip lead.
But right now, a little bit loose, I'd say. He's going to call that bet from Farha.
It is a little loose, just on a draw.
Over $1 million in the pot right now between Chris Moneymaker and that man Sam Farha. Now for the river card, an ace of diamonds. 3 aces now for Sam Farha.
So no straight for Chris Moneymaker. The 3 aces would be best. And it will be Moneymaker's decision first. And he's reaching.
Has he been bored? Is he feeling like he has to make something happen?
Nah, I think he's making a play here. He's going to make a stab at the pot.
400,000 is the bet from Chris Moneymaker to Sam Farha.
He's figuring maybe Sammy Farha, who plays a lot of hands, maybe he was on a draw and he missed. So sometimes you don't play the cards, you play the man. I tried that during my first marriage and I lost. And now he doesn't know that Sammy's got a good hand.
Well, Sam, of course, calls it, turns over his cards, and Moneymaker knows he's been beaten by the 3 aces.
And that's the first chink we've seen in Moneymaker's armor today. First time he's gotten involved in a hand he probably should have gotten away from and gave up a lot of chips.
And they all went to that man, Sam Farha, who had almost $3.3 million as your new chip leader at the 2003 World Series of Poker.
I'm used to talk a lot in a poker game.
Amir is a prince. I don't appreciate his talking to me.
I like to play with their heads.
You can count, buddy. What's wrong? Come on.
You'll be committed suicide.
It's your first visit here to Las Vegas? This guy's crazy. I don't want to play.
I play so many hands for a reason. That gives me a read on you. You might need me 2,000 a hand.
Chucky, easy on me. Be careful.
But if you have 100,000, I will get it in one hand.
Oh! He called 35,000 more with Queen Jack.
And that's why they're scared of me. Good players. They think I'm dangerous to them.
Get the hand first.
And that's the difference I have.
Well, he is dangerous indeed, and he's not bluffing that he is dangerous.
Nah, he's got a great look. I'd love to die and come back as Sam Farha.
And not just because of the chip stack.
Exactly.
Tomer folds. Our chip leader Sam Farha folds. Jason Lester folds. Dan Harrington in the right corner is not going to play either. Over to Chris Moneymaker, our former chip leader. And he will play a 100,000 chip bet on a couple of fours. Over to Amir Vahedi, who has not been nearly as aggressive as he usually is since he lost 1,000,000 chips in 2 hands. Now he's looking at ace-queen.
Yeah, he's had to sit on his hands a lot, and he loves getting involved in a lot of pots usually.
Right now, Vahedi taking his time with this one. It's 100,000 to him from Moneymaker. And Amir is going to push it all in. 430,000.
Sammy Farha appears to be resting his eyelids.
The bet now back to Chris Moneymaker.
I'll be interested to see what Moneymaker does here, because other than that Farha hand we saw, we haven't seen him put his chips at risk when he has marginal hands.
This is brutal. This thing could go at 2 o'clock in the morning. I've just hit the wall.
Dan Harrington talking to his friends about how tired he is. An overlooked factor of this poker tournament over 5 days. So far they've played almost 60 hours. Not only do you have to be at the top of your game mentally, but physically as well.
Sammy's sleeping at the table.
Look at Sam. Some guys dream of pocket aces. Sam probably dreams of bluffing with a 7-2 offsuit.
Well, Chris Moneymaker lays it down. Vahedi's supporters cheer. Maybe a wake-up call for Sam Farha, but maybe also for Vahedi, who's been down on his luck. You like that move by Chris?
Yeah, Chris Moneymaker might have been rattled by that loss to Farha, and he may be on the downslope, but I think he showed very, very good discipline here in not getting involved in another risky pot with just pocket fours. Nice play.
More from the final table in a moment. Back to Vegas, join this hand in progress. 2 players in it, Jason Lester, Sam Farha. Lester with the advantage, 2 10s to Farha's ace-queen. Flop is out 2-8-6 to Sam Farha. Sam checks, and that moves the action over to Jason Lester. Jason had raised 200,000 before the flop that Sam Farha called. And now he decides to move it all in, 305,000.
And that's bad news for Sammy Farha. This hand much different than when we saw these two hook up earlier in the day. In that case, Sammy Farha had nothing and kept firing away and ended up bluffing and winning the pot. In this case, when Sammy had bet before the flop, Jason Lester had raised him, meaning he had a good hand. And then after the flop, Sammy's hand went to dog do. He's got nothing with that flop. The problem with Sammy is that he'd rather take 3 years off the back end of his life than muck a hand like ace-queen suited. That's exactly what he does correctly. He doesn't risk his chips with a marginal hand there and doesn't jeopardize his chip lead.
Nonetheless, he's hurting that he didn't play that hand.
Wanted to bust me, didn't you, Sammy boy?
I had a big hand. Getting crushed. A huge hand I had. Almost moved in before the flop, but I said I'll take a flop, and if I hit you, go broke.
Well, at this point, I believe everything Sam Farha says. You're right, Norm. If he'd stayed in that hand and lost it, he would have lost his chip leadership, too.
Well, Sammy, with an ace up the sleeve, as usual, starts out this hand with ace-5.
Amazing how he draws those.
7 to work.
Comes out betting and talking.
Again, poor Jason Lester has to act after Sam Farha. This time he's going to fold. Harrington folds. Moneymaker folds. Over to Amir Vahedi now. Checks his whole cards. Not an astonishing 4-6, but they're suited.
And suited connectors are hands that both Amir Vahedi and Sammy Farha often like to play if it's inexpensive.
And for Vahedi right now, fairly inexpensive. He'll call the $80,000 bet from Sam Farha. And so we'll have Vahedi and Farha in the flop. And we're ready to come out. I see an ace, 9, queen, and ace. Farha gets another ace.
And Farha goes from a 3-2 favorite to having a near stranglehold on the hand.
Amir Vahedi is going to put over 500,000 chips in the pot with a 4-6.
I am stunned. It's a 4-6. You know, I love watching Amir Vahedi play, but I don't know how long we're going to see him play when you go all in with a 4-6. And it's not like he only had $35,000 left in chips. He had $535,000. He could do damage with those chips somewhere down the line, but he's decided to make his stand right here. I just don't get this.
Amir Vahedi, we saw earlier with maybe some would think a suspect play with a 10-8 offsuit.
Yeah, suspect would be generous on your part, Lon. He has really played loose and fast, and I'm just stunned at how he's continued to play these hands.
Well, Amir has told us time and time again here at this tournament, in order to live, you have to be willing to die.
You let go against him. Let go against me, too.
Have a hand.
And Farha, who I was pretty sure was going to call, once he heard Amir say that, decided that's a bluff. It was like a tell, and he said, I'm going right in.
And Amir embarrassed to turn over that 4-6, and his days are numbered in seconds now.
Yeah, he's going to need 2 running hearts, or he's going to need a 4 and a 6.
Comes 9 of spades.
And that's it. Aces up for Sammy. No card on the river can help Amir Vahedi. He is gone.
Considered by many to be the favorite here at the final table. Once the chip leader at the tournament, he had almost 2 million chips at this table today, eliminated $250,000 parting prize. But Sam Farha is the big winner so far at our final table. It will take a lot of skill and a lot of luck, but tonight one of these men will become a poker legend.
I have no superstitions, and that's one of my sort of trademarks throughout my career, is not to be superstitious, because I find that when people start getting superstitious, it can make them crazy.
The money means most to me. The reputation, it's a reputation. What is a reputation? It's like wind to me. This is poker. This is a game. And I keep that into perspective. So the reputation means nothing to me in reality.
It's not hit me that I'm here yet. I mean, I never dreamed I would make it this far. I came here hoping to make it through the first 2 days and said, you know, I played with the best in the world. Now that I'm to the final table, I want to win it all.
I mean, we all worked hard to reach to this position. And it means a lot for a poker player than a businessman or an amateur. This is completely different.
These other players are under a lot more pressure than I am because I've done it before. I've been there. I know what to expect.
Just 5 players remaining from the original 9 at the final table. And let's take a look now at the chip counts as we go around. Tomer Benvenisti, the low stack at 520,000. Jason Lesser, just a bit over $1 million. Dan Harrington, 1.15. Chris Moneymaker did have the chip lead as we began the final table, but he has dropped just a bit. Most of his chips going to Sam Farha, 3.2, our chip leader, as we begin action now.
We are now playing shorthanded, and you'll play certain hands shorthanded that you wouldn't play at a full table.
Jason Lester folds now. There's Dan Harrington with a pair of 4s, and as you mentioned, the 4s, we've seen some players play it on regularity.
They have added value when you just have 3 or 4 opponents.
Chris Moneymaker, ace deuce suited. He will call the 90,000 chip bet. Over now to Tomer Benvenisti, our expedition tour guide from Las Vegas. He's going to go all in with his Jack 10. We saw the chip count from Tomer a moment ago. It's about 500,000. Sam Farha immediately folded. Dan Harrington folded as well. Action to Chris Moneymaker. Now the number shown next to a player's name is the percentage they will have the best cards when the hand is done.
And the ace deuce, even though suited, not really strong to want to put in this amount of chips. Your chances are you're never going to get the flush, and really the ace is the best card to help you. But Moneymaker's he's staring down Tomer. Or maybe he just likes that shirt and is trying to figure out where he can buy it.
I'm going to call it.
Chris Moneymaker with a bold move. The pot is over 1 million.
And when they turn their cards over, Tomer's not going to like to see that he's actually a little behind because of the ace.
All right, we're ready for our flop. Benvenisti's tournament life at stake here.
No tens or jacks. No tens or jacks.
And here it comes. 2 8s and an ace. Chris Moneymaker has a pair of aces.
Oh, and he continues to sleep with angels. And because of that, Tomer about to be sleeping with the fishes unless he gets very lucky now.
Here comes the turn. It's a 9, and that helps Benvenisti, actually.
Tomer now has a straight draw. He will need a 7 or a queen to stay alive.
Don't do it to me.
Sam Farha looking on with amusement. And it is a 9, not good enough for Benvenisti. Moneymaker's gamble pays off. And for Tomer Benvenisti, 5th place, $320,000 in prize money and a Dream World Series. And a pot of more than $1 million to Chris Moneymaker in the home stretch of this no-limit Texas Hold'em World Championship.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here's how you play no-limit Texas Hold'em. Everyone is dealt 2 cards face down. Players then bet, and for the first time must decide whether they're in or they're out. Next comes the flop. 3 community cards placed face up in the middle of the table that everyone can use. Players bet again. The dealer then reveals the turn, another community card, also called 4th Street. After another round of betting, the final community card is dealt. This is called the River, or 5th Street. One last time, players bet. Then reveal their cards. The best 5-card hand wins. But this is no limit Hold'em.
All in.
And at any time, a player can go all in and bet everything he has. So at the World Series, every hand can be the hand that makes you or breaks you. 4-handed World Championship for Binion's Horseshoe Casino.
4-handed indeed. We've gotten rid of all the crumb bums and shoe clerks.
Is that why you're sitting next to me? All right, Chris Moneymaker folded, Dan Harrington folded. And to Sam Farha with an ace-9, he'll bet $80,000.
Call.
Jason Lester will call it with a couple of diamonds.
Yeah, Jack-9 suited.
Dan Harrington, nope. Sam Farha taunting Jason with a tiger. Ready for the flop, Farha and Lester. 2 8s and an ace. Sam Farha matched his ace.
Lester will be first to act.
Check.
And Farha changing it up, deciding to check his aces, which are way ahead.
Turn card is a 10 of diamonds, and that gives Jason Lester a straight draw.
He's still going to check, and maybe because Jason Lester called the first card, Farha doesn't want to bet right now, thinking that maybe Jason has an ace with a better kicker.
Another 10 on the river. Jason checks, and Sam Farha puts a bet $100,000.
That's a small bet. It's like he can't get into too much trouble there. He must figure now that Jason Lester doesn't have an ace, else he would have bet earlier. And he can't get into too much trouble. If Jason Lester were to put a bunch of chips in now.
You notice the check mark next to Farha's name means he has the winning hand should they both stay in to the finish. Of course, Jason Lester does not know that, nor does Sammy Farha, really.
I call Sammy.
He's going to call it. 400,000 pot. And Sammy turns over the aces right away, and Jason 200,000 chips less than he had just a moment ago. Shot down by Sammy Farha's bullets. Welcome back to Las Vegas. There you see the chip count of our 4 remaining players. Sam Farha over 3 million. Chris Moneymaker approaching that. Dan Harrington throws in his cards over to Chris Moneymaker. He has Queen Jack. How much of the stack does he want to siphon off? 100,000 worth. Sam Farha throws in. Will not play. Over to Jason Lester now. Ace Queen suited.
A good hand in most circumstances, and even a better hand in a short game.
350.
He likes it 350,000 worth.
And since they both have queens, actually in this situation, if Moneymaker were to call, Jason Lester about a 3-to-1 favorite in the hand. The ace being the key, and of course he's also got an early heart draw.
Chris Moneymaker is going to call Jason Lester.
So Lester a clear favorite as we go into the flop.
Moneymaker and Lester, the only players on this flop. Chris Moneymaker needs some help with these cards to come, and wow, did he get it!
He's flopped the top straight. My goodness.
8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen. Wow.
Oh, but Jason Lester doesn't know that. He goes all in, and Moneymaker calls immediately, turns over his cards, and like puts a knife into the side of Jason Lester.
Jack hard would be nice.
Indeed, that would give him a straight as well and a split pot. The turn now comes a queen. 2 queens for Jason, still not good enough.
No, he has to have a jack to stay alive.
And now the river card. A 3 of diamonds, not going to do it. Chris Moneymaker wins the hand. Jason Lester eliminated 4th place, $440,000.
And Moneymaker remains a one-man posse. He's a bounty hunter who keeps just piling up skins.
Well, a moment ago, we saw him go heads up against Tomer Benvenisti, took him out, and now Jason Lester in the same situation is eliminated. It has been quite a ride for this 27-year-old internet poker player.
Words can't really describe how good I'm feeling right now. You know, I try not to express the emotion too much until I really can, because I'm not there yet. I'm not to my goal. I want to win the whole thing.
Stack it good here. It's nice and tight, so it doesn't fall out before it can stick.
Hey, now.
When they bring the money on the table, if I'm still in, I would be real nervous playing heads up with all that money on the table. I'd rather them keep the money in the bag.
Money! No money!
I mean, I got all the support in the world, and it makes it a lot easier. You know, I've got friends back home rooting for me. I've had friends fly out.
Good job, buddy. What a call, what a call.
You know, my wife and family are sitting there. They'll have it on webcast today, and they've called every 5-10 minutes trying to get updates of where I was. It makes you really feel good and feel confident, you know, and that you have that support.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
I'll play in tournaments more probably now that I've done this well. I'm not going to quit work and become a poker player. I enjoy what I do, and I'll continue just to live a normal life.
While Chris's wife and daughter stay back home and follow the action over the internet, his dad is here in the house supporting him.
You couldn't have scripted a better story, could you?
Never dreamed. I knew he could play, but I didn't know he could play this good.
I wonder how much money he's taken off Dad over the years. Chris Moneymaker with ever-increasing crowd support behind him. He has won over a lot of the fans here at Binion's. Down to 3 players now at the World Series. Chris with an ace-4 suited.
Be careful.
Always careful.
Advice from the vet.
Yeah. And a $125,000 bet is reasonably careful. Pocket queens.
Yeah. He knows what to do with this.
How is it?
And he will raise.
He's not going to take his own advice. He's not going to be as careful.
350 is the raise. One of the more cautious players, Dan Harrington, drops out. We go heads up, Moneymaker and Farha. The call is to Moneymaker. And he does call it. So we have a 2-handed flop. And it is Jack, 3, ace, and Moneymaker's 2 aces just trumped the queens.
Yes, they did. And Farha can't like to see the ace out there.
Checks. Chris Moneymaker just put down 200,000 chips. And a glare.
Well, as I said, the only cards that would have bothered Sammy are the ace or the king, because then aces or kings would beat his pocket queens. So he's trying to figure out whether he thinks Mr. Moneymaker is holding on to an ace.
You see that percentage next to Moneymaker, a huge advantage right now. Sammy's not going to play ball with Chris Moneymaker.
He loses the hand, but he shows he may have got a read on Moneymaker, because he's correct to assume he had the aces.
Well, Sam checks with his more modest rooting section and says, what can I do with a kid? And with that pot, Chris takes over the chip leadership.
Is there a certain way it gets loaded in?
Very tight rein on the World Series first prize money here in the cage at Binion's. $2.5 million waiting for the winner. You don't see that in your neighborhood game. Well, Welcome back to Binion's. Chris Moneymaker, our new chip leader. Dan Harrington with a lot of work to do.
Yeah, he's short stacked. He usually likes to sit tight, but when it gets late, he will start to get more aggressive. And you know, Dan's a lot tougher than he looks. He looks like he's a nice man sitting on his front porch about to give you directions to the mall, but he's going to end up taking your money when you're not looking most of the time.
Harrington's hole cards, King 10, worthy of a bet. Not only short-handed, but at this point with that stack. Over to Chris Moneymaker. Ace Queen, definitely worthy of a raise now. 100,000 is the raise. What's this? Dan Harrington thinks his King's 10 good enough for an all-in. And Chris Moneymaker is going to call the bet.
And Harrington sees Moneymaker's ace and knows he's behind in the hand.
Low cards. Low cards.
Dan, though, doesn't have the luxury of picking out what hand he can go all in with. That was a good one to go all in with. And the 10 on the flop gives him the lead now in the hand.
And here comes the turn card. It's a jack.
Moneymaker would need an ace or a queen, or now a king for a straight to knock out Dan Harrington.
Here comes the river card. It's a 3 of spades, not good enough. Chris Moneymaker loses this hand, and Dan Harrington survives his all-in call and doubles his chips.
That wasn't supposed to happen. Good hand.
Thank you.
Now Chris Moneymaker giving the 95 champion the respect that he is due, but that's one thing that Harrington hasn't always had.
I have a funny story. I have a cousin, Padraig Harrington, and he's a golfer on the tour.
What a shot by Padraig Harrington.
Back in '95.
Dan Harrington's our 1995 world champion.
I go home, and my mother, she says, "Oh yeah, that you won the $1 million. That's nice." And she says, "But you heard about our cousin Padraig?" He says, "He's just in Spain. He won a tournament for $90,000." And I say, "Mom, I'm the world champion of poker. I won $1 million." And she says, and he's doing well on the European tour. All the people at home are real proud of him.
Padraig Harrington dominates the competition.
So it's funny how parents think.
Well, that's a tough draw when your mom is not impressed when you win $1 million. Well, Dan Harrington does have the respect of the people who know poker, and well deserved. Chris Moneymaker with a queen deuce. Sammy Farha folds. Now over to the very well respected around these circles, Dan Harrington. And Harrington with an ace-4 calls the bet.
I'm still in the last round.
I don't blame you. I'm on the first day.
Fatigue setting in on these guys. Here comes the flop. Oh, and it's huge for Moneymaker. 2 more queens.
So 3 queens for Chris. Harrington checks.
100,000 from Chris Moneymaker on the bet. And Harrington calls it.
And on the turn, Moneymaker makes a full house, queens over 2s, but he checks it. And he might be trying to induce Harrington to maybe make a hand on the river and call on the river, thinking Harrington might have left on the turn.
The 7 is no help on the river. Harrington checks. Moneymaker's now going to turn up the heat on Dan.
For $400,000. Harrington, of course, has aces up.
Harrington is going to call it. That was quick for Dan Harrington. And Chris Moneymaker turns over his hand, shows him the full house, and a big hit on Dan Harrington. For Harrington, the stack gets shorter and shorter. For Chris Moneymaker, it continues to grow. Over $4 million now for that man.
And Farha can't like to see Harrington's chips going over to Chris Moneymaker.
Well, Sam might be thinking he'll be in a heads-up match very soon with Chris Moneymaker, studying the young gun's habits carefully.
Hey, here's where they don't need to waste any more time, and they take Harrington out right here.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the 2003 World Series of Poker. Just 3 players remaining in the tournament. That means 836 people have already gone home losers. At least they have their memories, as sad as they may be.
Tell me why I'm still crying over you. Tell me how I wound up such a fool.
Dilly, dilly, willy.
Tell me when these heartaches will be through.
I guess somebody had to do it.
Oh, tell me why I'm still crying over you.
Send it, baby.
We're trying to start a war here, Sam.
Yes! Do you want some snacks?
Must be a shirt.
Closing my eyes.
That's how you got balls, baby. baby?
Relax, relax.
Can you order some pizza?
All you can eat, baby.
Thank you, Jesus. Day by day, dawn till dark, I think of you and fall apart. I can't explain the reasons why.
Come out now.
I run to you when you go walking by. Tell me why I'm still crying over you.
You know my heart is pure.
Tell me how I wound up such a fool.
You wouldn't believe it if I told you.
Tell me where these heartaches will be through.
Where's the gas?
Oh, tell me why I'm still crying over you.
We play poker now.
I'm still crying over you.
Well, any one of these three can still win the World Series of Poker. All of our three remaining players over 1 million chips right now. Sam Farha in second position in the leadership board, and he's got a couple of fives. He'll throw out 100,000 of those chips. Dan Harrington will not throw any more away. Chris Moneymaker indicates he will match the bet at least with his ace-7. He's going to make it 400,000 to Sam Farha.
Sam wasting no time calling the raise. Two riverboat gamblers.
This could be it. You never know. For one of us.
At this point, any hand could be it for anybody. Here comes the flop. It is 8, 3, 10, and 3 diamonds.
And they both have picked up a diamond draw. Moneymaker's diamond draw is better. And he bets. Sam looks like he's going to at least call. Even though Sam's ahead in the hand with a pair of fives, Moneymaker now the slight favorite because of the diamond draw, and he has 2 overcards.
Here comes the turn card, 6 of hearts. No more diamonds there on the board.
And Moneymaker now has actually also picked up an inside straight draw. He still has no hand, but he has a diamond draw and an inside straight draw.
And he goes right to his stack. He puts out 500,000 to Sam Farha.
And puts Farha to the test, who has a pair of fives and a diamond draw, a bad diamond draw.
You see the pot size of 1.6 million. No call from Sam Farha. You surprised?
Well, it was a semi-bluff on Moneymaker's part because he could have gotten there, and Sam didn't have that strong a hand and decided to play conservatively.
Sam Farha, as much as he hated to do it, threw the cards in, and a big win there for Chris Moneymaker. With so many chips in all of these hands, it would not take a long rush at all to change the complexion of this entire game.
Harrington remaining tough here. You know, Dan was also a backgammon and chess champion besides a poker champion. Essentially, when he sits down at a table, you want to get up. And he is going to play the 5-3 suited right here for 100,000.
Over to Chris Moneymaker. You see his ace-9. He will call it. And the ace, of course, gives him that advantage. You see the 59% next to his name. Over to Sam Farha. Sam will go in as well.
So we'll get 3-way action.
And the flop is 4, Jack, 7, and Sammy pairs his Jack.
Harrington picks up an inside straight draw, and Sammy will check the Jacks. And they'll check around.
Over to the turn. Another Jack for Farha.
A commanding position now for Farha, and this time he's not going to sit on it.
No bet from Moneymaker, but, of course, Sam Farha, with those 3 Jacks, bets 150,000.
Moneymaker now would be drawing dead, and he's going to call. He doesn't even have a good draw, but he's drawing dead on the river. No card could help him against Sammy Farha.
Here comes the river card. It's a 6 of diamonds. Chris Moneymaker checks over to Farha.
The reason it's always tough to get a read on Sammy Farha is he always takes the same amount of time, the same expression on his face. You never know whether he's holding a monster or whether he's holding nothing.
And now he goes to the stack. 500,000 to Chris Moneymaker.
And I can't imagine him wanting to call here. All he has is ace high. But again, he's just not sure whether what Sammy has. You never are sure.
Chris Moneymaker wants no part of it. Farha wins a big pot.
Oh, what'll happen? Just see him fool around and bluff, and Chris will catch him.
That's what we're waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we come back, we will see if Mr. Moneymaker's crystal ball sent him the correct message. Welcome back to Las Vegas, Nevada, and the 2003 World Series of Poker. It is just past midnight. Just 3 players out of the original field of 839 still remaining in this game. One of the favorites right now, and one of the favorites throughout the tournament, Sam Farha. He's a colorful and confident character who is not afraid to talk some trash to try and get his opponents off their game.
Sam Farha. I'm very superstitious. If I have a winning session, I'll keep the same things on. The same moves, the same thing. I don't smoke. And I keep the same cigarette. And if I lose a pot, I'll change the cigarette. Throw it away, put another one. Very superstitious. I'll break even if I win this strip. I just break even on this strip. My style is very dangerous. For one reason. I like to play with their heads. This guy is strong, don't mess with him. Live game, I'll mess with you, but here, I don't mess with you. I'm sorry, what? You might beat me 2,000 a hand, but if you have 100,000, I will get it in one hand. I play good players. I have advantage. They give me free cards. They do not bluff me. Good player cannot break me. I can break him. And that's the difference I have. Now, on the other way around, bad player, I can do that to him. I have to have a hand.
How do you think Sam Farha regards Chris Moneymaker right now, Norm?
When Farha says a bad player, he means a loose player, and he would think Moneymaker is a loose player, and so he's going to be a little worried about him, not sure how worried to be about him.
He does not have to worry about him in this hand as Chris Moneymaker throws his cards away. And now to Sam Farha, you see them as he sees them, a king 5. And he'll make the bet over to Dan Harrington with a king 9. And he does raise it. It's 100,000 back to Sam Farha. And Sam decides to call.
Sam loves to see flops.
It's 9, 5, and 8. Harrington now with 2 9s.
And Farha with 2 5s. They're sharing the king, so Harrington way ahead in the hand right now.
Harrington bets after Farha checked. Sam Farha will call. Bet of 150,000. Now the turn card. 2 of spades.
No help to either player. The 9's now in a better position against the 5s.
And Dan Harrington is confident. He's going to move it all in again. The pot over 1 million. Harrington put in about 420,000.
And Farha's been in this position several times today where he's not really holding a very strong hand and he hates to give them up, but he's got to put a lot of chips in to keep playing.
He's going to fold it. He plays with his cards. He plays with his chips. He plays with his chips with his left hand. He folds.
Oh, the eyes in the sky. The Moneymaker eyes.
Wow.
Sam's playing with his left hand, and he folds.
Maybe we should hire Mr. Moneymaker as an analyst.
Well, he's got a pretty good track record so far. Dan Harrington has a lot of work to do. A nice win there, hanging tough.
And meanwhile, Farha appears to be getting a bit frustrated. It's almost as if he's sitting in the driver's seat, but he can't reach the steering wheel.
Let's put it all in and see who wins. One hand.
I've been trying to do that.
All right, yeah, the 3 of us, yeah.
You want to do that? Without looking, deal the cards and let's see who wins.
What the hell? Let's gamble.
We've been gambling.
You'll have a better shot this way. I mean, I'll have a better shot this way.
I figure my chances go down, but what the hell? I'll give you guys a break.
Yeah, Sammy just wants to take the gloves off, get in the middle of the ring, and just start punching. That's his style.
And everybody was willing. I don't think Binions is going to let him do that. So Dan Harrington bets over to the big blind Chris Moneymaker, who calls that. Checks it, actually. Here comes the flop. It's 2, 6, 10, all diamonds.
So a diamond draw for Harrington with a pair of 6s, but Moneymaker has a pair of 10s.
Dan Harrington will bet 150,000, and Moneymaker raised it immediately.
And that raise would force Dan Harrington to go all in.
All right, I call.
Dan Harrington has risked elimination one more time, this time against Chris Moneymaker.
And he'd love to see a diamond come up. A 6 or a king would also help Harrington.
Here comes the turn card, ace of hearts.
And now he's down to one card. He needs the king, the 6, or the diamond to stay alive.
The river card is the final card for Dan Harrington. He is eliminated. Chris Moneymaker knocks another big player out of the tournament. 1995 champion Dan Harrington goes out in 3rd place with a payday of $650,000.
Oh, money! Yeah, baby.
That's the boy. That's the kid.
All right, well, let's go down to the rail and find out who Dan Harrington favors to win this championship.
I would say that Sammy has the edge. He's a high-action, experienced player, has been under enormous pressure before, knows what it is, and let's face it, this kid is playing for a big prize for the first time in his life. It's a lot of money, a lot of pressure. That's why you hear in sports, when you go to the championship game, the first time you get there, you usually don't win because you're just happy to be there.
Guys, the game's on now.
You're a millionaire, buddy. Yeah, thank you. You ready to have some fun? You ready to have some fun? Good shot. This is a good shot.
Well, this is it. 839 players down to just 2. And there you see the $2.5 million first prize carried up from the vault in a $2 cardboard box. It's a Benion's tradition. Unlike other events, when you win it all here at the World Series of Poker, you can indeed walk right out of the casino with the cold, hard cash.
Look at all that cash on the table. At my home game, we have mostly food stamps on the table.
Well, let's find out from some former champs why this is considered the Super Bowl of poker.
Everybody's dream is to win the big tournament.
It's just the pinnacle of poker, and there can only be one a year.
Helmuth wins the championship.
It's the biggest prize money, the biggest field of players.
This is the tournament that everybody waits an entire year for.
The worst day of the year is the day you get knocked out of this tournament.
Johnny Chan, the master.
Winning the World Series is like a poker dream comes true. You're gonna have $2-3 million in cash.
They wheel out the money and they dump it on the table. It was a nice feeling the first time I fondled $1 million.
What I love the most, respect. And in the picture on the wall, we will recognize you.
We did it, man!
Greatest feeling, Barry.
We're ready to go heads up for that first prize money of $2.5 million. Chris Moneymaker about a 2-to-1 chip lead right now. Does that give him the big favorite status here?
No, actually, I got my money's on Farha. I mean, this isn't exactly David versus Goliath, but it's maybe David versus Hulk Hogan. I mean, Sammy's been around the block. He's seen the slingshot. He's been in so many more situations than Chris Moneymaker.
100.
Sam comes out firing 100,000 is the bet with his King 6 suited. Over to Chris Moneymaker. 5-2 suited.
And everyone with spades.
And here we go with the flop. It's a 10-9-4, only one spade out there.
It's a very ugly looking flop, no help for anybody. And they both check.
Onto the turn card. And there is another spade. It's an 8.
And now, Sammy now far ahead in the hand. First of all, he's got king high. He's got the higher spade draw, and he's also got an inside straight draw.
But Chris Moneymaker is going to bet 150,000.
Pause for concern for Mr. Farha.
Well, these two gone head-to-head enough at this final table. Trying to get some read on each other, and Sammy reaches out and does call. And now for the final card, the river. And it's a king, and Sammy matches his king.
And pair of kings is the best hand right now. Moneymaker had to check.
Oh, and the pained look on Sam's face.
He looks this way when he's ordering dinner.
Trying to send some mixed signals maybe to Moneymaker? Who knows? And he's going to throw out 300,000 chips to Chris Moneymaker.
Who has absolutely no hand.
And no call from Chris Moneymaker. He realizes if Sam has any type of a hand that's going to beat him, wise to throw it away.
And Sam's still far down in the chip count, but I've got a feeling he's going to be getting into a groove. He's got to feel confident going heads up against Chris Moneymaker.
Approaching 1:30 in the morning. Final table has taken 11 hours or so to this point.
Won't do it.
Chris Moneymaker is going to do it anyway. Reaches for 100,000 chips with a king 7. Sam Farha with a queen 9. We'll call that bet.
When it's heads up, odd things happen.
Flop comes 9-2-6. Farha has made a pair of 9s. Chris Moneymaker has nothing and checks. Checks for Farha as well. The turn is an 8.
And now they both have a spade draw.
300,000 from Sam Farha,
who has the pair of 9s, and Moneymaker also has a straight draw and will raise.
There's a 300. No, raise.
Very adamant about his raise.
Indeed. Still stacking chips. It's a big raise.
500,000 is the raise.
It's quite a play. It's sort of a semi-bluff. He still could get there on a straight draw or flush draw, but he has nothing right now, and Sam comes right on in.
We're going to see the river card.
You said it's going to be over soon.
It may well be. And it's a 3 of hearts.
Moneymaker doesn't get to either draw, and the pair of 9s is best.
Come on.
Chris Moneymaker going all in with nothing.
A stunning play from Moneymaker, who missed his draws, has nothing, and now has put Sam Farha all in. He would have to put all his chips in. If he lost this pot, he would be out of the tournament. Moneymaker bluffed at this once, and Farha came. He's now bluffing at it again.
You must have missed your flush, huh?
Sam's absolutely right.
This would be a tough, tough call for Sammy.
Is Chris bluffing this time?
No.
He ain't bluffed all night.
No.
It's quite a predicament for Sammy. He has a pair of 9s. It's the best hand, but he can't know that. And if he calls this bet and loses, we're playing for the World Championship. If he's wrong, he's out of it. He's the runner-up. So it's really tough just to sit here and call with a pair of 9s, particularly when Moneymaker has made 2 big bets in a row.
I think a crazy call on you. Could be the best hand.
Sam Farha trying to draw something out of Chris Moneymaker, but he's like a statue, afraid to make any sort of move.
Sam, you want to save yourself, you won't call. Don't do it, Sam.
He is not going to do it. Chris Moneymaker bluffs Sam Farha out of a big stack of money.
And considering the situation, I know we're early in the century, but that's the bluff of the century. What a play from Chris Moneymaker.
Price of poker is going to go high now.
I figured it would.
Plus 50-50, I almost called you.
I'll turn my head.
Sorry?
You can tell me what you had, I'll turn my head.
No, I don't care. He asked me what I have. I said I had a pair, big pair, and a flush draw. Queen high flush. But the queen high flush draw, if I make it, and pair.
A pair?
Queens.
A pair of queens. There wasn't, you had 2 queens in your hand? There wasn't a queen on the board, was there? No, the highest card was a 10.
I had queens in my hand.
You had queens in your hand.
Nice try, Sam. Casino continuing this heads-up battle for the World Championship of Texas Hold'em Poker. Chris Moneymaker with a commanding chip lead right now on Sam Farha. We know how quickly that can change, though. Chris Moneymaker's cards 5 and 4.
In fact, if Sammy can double up, he would take the chip lead, and that's how it is when you're heads up.
Sam Farha looks at a Jack-10 and bets 100,000 to Moneymaker, who quickly calls it.
And Sammy a 2-to-1 favorite right now going into the flop.
And here it comes. It is Jack 5-4, 2 pair for Chris Moneymaker, 1 for Sam Farha.
Your top pair for Sam Farha, but once again, Chris Moneymaker has gotten another fortunate flop.
Chris Moneymaker checks now over to Sam Farha, who throws in a bet of 175,000. He's reaching.
I'm gonna raise.
The raise is $300,000 now. Back to Farha.
Okay, I'll go all in. Let's go.
I'll call. Sam Farha goes all in, and Chris Moneymaker's going to call it.
And Sam sees the grim news, and with 2 pair, Chris Moneymaker, a statistical improbability to win this title at the outset, is now closing in on making it an incredible reality.
Turn card is an 8 of diamonds.
No help yet, and Farha, to stay alive, would need a jack, a 10, or an 8, or this is over.
1 card away from the new world, Chris Moneymaker.
This could be the last card of the 2003 World Series of Poker.
It's a 5.
With a full house, Chris Moneymaker eliminates Sam Farha, and the 27-year-old has stepped out of the virtual poker room, and in a very swift and unlikely manner is atop the poker world.
This is beyond fairy tale. It's inconceivable.
I missed the flush and I missed the straight draw on that one. That king high.
Made one bad mistake. Good job. Good job. Good job. Congratulations.
Chris Moneymaker, the young accountant from Nashville, Tennessee, started out this tournament like many others as dead money, and nervous dead money at that.
It goes up to you, right?
I didn't even know I had a hand. I'm sorry. Golly. I thought y'all won the hand.
But after a couple of days, he showed that he was very alive and very dangerous.
Chris, you turned $40 into $2.5 million. Was this the game plan from day one?
Of course it was.
With a dramatic string of knockouts, Moneymaker puts his name amongst the greatest players in the game.
It hasn't sunk in yet. I see this money and it's not real yet. So probably tomorrow morning when I wake up, it'll hit home and I'll probably go out and dance or something. I don't know what I'll do.
And he proved that anyone, truly anyone, could become the next world champion of poker.